So Brian, welcome to the podcast, man. I'm excited
Thank
to
you.
have you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So we got connected through Ethan, who was on the podcast, started the Palm Harbor Pelicans
Yep.
Soccer program in Palm Harbor. So let's start at the beginning of like your company is Player Sports Academy, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So let's start with at the beginning of that. Like, how did you get into that? Why did you get into that?
Well, it started primarily with just me still coaching in the area that I hadn't done before, but I was a school administrator prior to that, and I wanted to finish that out. And I was approached by my partner up in Virginia, who wanted to generate the company back down to this area, and we got connected through other people, and we had similar wants for the children in the area to want to play. So we got connected about 9-10 years ago, and I was just about ready to finish up that educational career, and I figured this would be the next thing to do, and it was still something I was passionate about. So I took that leap of faith and, opened the business and started using my connections through the school system to start it that way, and just taking that was the ramping part.
Yeah. What was your original goal? Like when you started the company, like what was the thought process? Like what were you trying to accomplish?
The originals part of it was to try to generate another want that I didn't feel was in the community was, and still parents don't have time to get their kids to enrichments and sports and all that other stuff. So I wanted to create an avenue for parents with partnering with Pinellas County schools to do it at the schools. So safe environment, coaches would obviously be taken care of by me, program costs and all that stuff. And we would be able to have the ability to have these kids go to the sports enrichment programs after school. So the parents don't have to go pick the kid up after school, take them to soccer or flag football or basketball or dance or music, then take them home, then get them fed and all this other stuff. So this was eliminating one potential opportunity, or allowing one potential opportunity for families to have that sports enrichment program.
Yeah. And then so the idea is like more kids get involved in something after school instead of going to home.
It's just a safer place, another place where they can get quality enrichment. It was, it's a very structured program. The curriculum was developed by my partner and me, and that was the original starting point, and it worked right away.
And back then, did you have multiple different sports? Was it just soccer? I know your history is in soccer.
We started with, I wanted to start with soccer. It seemed it was natural just because of my background to start there. I didn't want to, and I still to this day, my model is still never to go too big. Stick with what works, never try to grow it. And so soccer was where I started, and I started to introduce soccer into as many of the schools that I wanted to in the beginning. And then probably about 3 or 4 years later is when I started to add basketball and flag football. Flag football was starting to get a lot of good traction throughout the states. So I thought that was a good transition to add, and it took off. It was easy. It was not hard. It was just introducing more sports to more kids, and it was awesome. So that's how we started.
And really, like generally like these schools already have the facilities and or a field, right? So it's not like you're trying to add anything, like you're just using what they have available.
The school partners that we utilize, we have about 14 of them right now in North Pinellas County, and the space is just very simple. My company pays a leasing agreement to a specific area that the school designates for us. Our job is to make sure that the area is safe, make sure that it's properly ready for the kids. So we line the fields out to make them look nice and pretty and that kind of stuff. And we bring all the equipment, but the partnerships have been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the company started in Palm Harbor, or did you earn in this area?
Me down here. Yes. Down here in Palm Harbor. I mean, the company is national. My partner, he started a little bit before me, probably about 18 months to 2 years before me, in the Northern Virginia area. And then down here in Florida, yes, I wanted to keep it in Palm Harbor.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. This is where I've lived, for 40 years now. Mm-hmm. So I could go, and I don't want to say I was going to go a little bit bigger probably before COVID hit. I had a couple of partners, and that's sort of how my company grows. I let it grow organically. I don't go out searching for schools. Mm-hmm. me having that connection in the community with administration and schools, it's other administrators that will talk to other administrators, and then they'll contact me, and then that's it. So what happened was, another principal is up in Pasco County, and I was going to go ahead and start school there, and we started taking registrations, and then COVID hit, and then we just never came back to it. But organically, everything in Pinellas County and in this area in Palm Harbor, we reach out a little bit into, locally, other neighboring, Oldsmar and Safety Harbor and that stuff. But I would say if you put a dot in the map in Palm Harbor, all of our schools are within 5 miles of that area.
Is that hard for you to like not try to expand it because you can see the impact that you're having and want to help more people? Or is it just kind of like always been your way of just like, I'm just going to kind of slowly grow this?
I would guess the second part of what you're saying is probably more me. I don't want to be big. I don't feel like, I feel like then I'm working again. It doesn't allow me the opportunity to go into the fields. I still coach every day. I still go out and see at least 1 or 2 groups of kids every day. I help the coaches that I'm employing now, which some of them are high school students in the area. Some of them are college students in the area, all the way up to young adults in their, mid to upper 20s that utilize this as a second form of employment. But if I'm just getting as many schools as I can and looking at it as how many kids, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
You have to step away.
Yeah, then I'm going to have to step away, and then I don't feel like the quality is going to be there. I'm not going to have my pulse on what's going on at specific schools. So I feel like less is more for me. So the schools that I partner with, I try to have a really strong partnership with, not just with my program. I try to help out with their fundraisers or just being present at events. Through the years of 9 years of being with some of these schools, I'm just an after school sports soccer guy, but people know me through the community, just being around through family. So I try to harness that a little bit and stay with what works.
Where else are you guys? So you mentioned Northern Virginia. Where else is this in other states?
We're opening up in New York City, nice. Hampton, Virginia. We just opened up a market in Jacksonville. So we're starting down the eastern coast. We're going to be looking to add another, it's not official yet, but there's another market in Florida that we're going to be adding soon. And my partner and I, we are looking to potentially, it won't be me, it'll be somebody that I in-house grow with, but looking to add into Hillsborough County.
Okay.
So that will be, but I'm not there this year. Maybe 2025, 2026. But right now I'm not looking to. My partner's got a great mindset like me. He's a little bit of a younger man than me, but he wants to do with what works. So, but we're, the company's doing fine. We've got an international sponsor as well, not just localized sponsors.
Cool.
And team from England, the Wolverhampton Wolves. From the English Premier League, they're actually our national sponsor.
Cool.
And internationally, so they put their flag in the United States with us. And yeah, I don't have that drive to make this thing global. Maybe somebody else 10 years when I'm done, but not me.
When you're going into a market and deciding like this is the market that we want to go into, like are there other programs like what you're doing and offering?
In some levels, yes, and then in most levels, no. I like to think that the market that I've created with the elementary schools is unique. There is nobody else that does what we do.
Yeah.
We sort of have an exclusive rights contract with Pinellas County Schools. Not that somebody else couldn't go in, but the school system has been very kind enough to know that we already have somebody in place with at least the partnerships that I have. The younger groups that we deal with, I do go in-house with some preschools. Globally and nationally, there's hundreds of us.
Yeah.
I do not step on anybody's toes. I don't worry about it. So if somebody's established and they're doing a great job at that school, I'm going to leave them alone.
Yeah.
The kids are happy, school's happy, that kind of stuff. But I do let people know that I am available, and we do have coaches that are willing to do it. But Other than that, I don't feel like I have any real, I don't want to call it competition, but I don't think what I do on that mid-range grade level is being done anywhere else.
So let's talk about like what you offer for these schools, like the age range and everything that you're involved in.
Well, with the elementary school, obviously we're dealing with ages 5 to 11. The program is designed, and I'll, without going into the secret sauce and that kind of stuff, is that we limit the amount of enrollment that we take. We do not max out, and it's not to, but just for reference point, it's not a PE class. You know, it's not like we dump a bunch of soccer balls or basketballs or flag footballs out and say, go play. So we limit our class groups to a size of 24 to 30 kids with a team of coaches of 4. So our ratios are 1 to 6, 1 to 7. So it allows our motto, and the way we develop is it's introduction to sport and development of sport. So the great way that our modeling system works is that we take that group of 24 to 30 kids with 4 coaches, and we're able to introduce the sport to these kids, but also within that same group, take kids that may have a strong development already, been playing club soccer or been playing in a league of flag football or basketball for a couple of years. We'll still be able to learn and grow from our program just because of the lower ratios that we have. We can split these kids up. Each team of coaches that we train and develop actually are taught how to look for those kids that do have a skill set versus kids that have never kicked a soccer ball before, never learned how to shoot a basketball or catch a football yet. So we take that into consideration when we take the kids, and then the curriculum is designed to allow that to grow. And then the platform is done 4 times throughout a school year. So we have 4 8-week seasons at each school. And then our program is met once a week for 8 weeks. So it's an 8-week season, 8 days, 8 hours. And then it just repeats throughout the entire year. It's grown into the point now where we have a great following for our summer camps. It's then grown into the idea that we actually have a field space here in Palm Harbor that I'm very proud of. We partnered with Carwise Middle School with a field space that has been unutilized for over 25 years, miraculously, and we have turned that into the PSA complex. There's 4 full field soccer fields up there, 2 full field flag football fields up there, and we've been running rec leagues of both flag football and soccer for now 2 years. And so we've got different platforms for families in this community to utilize. So the after school program, summer camps, and then our rec leagues.
And what sports are you offering? So soccer, basketball, flag football?
So the after school programs, we offer those 3, basketball, flag football, and soccer. Our rec leagues, we offer flag football and soccer only. We just don't have the court space or the gymnasium space to utilize a basketball league. I would love to be able to partner with somebody, but just haven't found that partner yet. And then our summer camp is also primarily just soccer and flag football, just because we do have an amazing space out there to use. So
you mentioned like developing the curriculum, one to teach the kids and also to train your coaches and stuff. Like walk me through that process. Is that something you guys nailed down in the beginning, or there's constant tweaks and adjustments to that?
It's always been a tweak and adjustment process. Obviously, you know, my background as a school administrator helped me. I sort of tried to model how I would interview people and that kind of stuff into hiring coaches and backgrounds. And that helped more than anything, because I sort of modeled my coaches as if I was hiring a teacher. Level 2 background screened all of them, drug tested everybody, did everything to make sure that these people that are going to be around kids were safe people. So that I sort of used that model. And then obviously the curriculum to teach these coaches was a process. It was never something that was hammered down in the beginning. It's something, because in the beginning I maybe had 2 or 3 coaches, and now I'm up to like 33 that I run out each week. So as I started to grow, I had to come up with more of a protocol and a handbook and that kind of stuff. But it's always something that's going to change. I mean, the more youthful coaches that I have, I've got to do a little bit more time in the field. So the processes are different. And then as more of the adults, it's just making sure we're all on the same page and we're doing it the way that the Player Sports Academy wants it done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you're involved with coaching all of them?
100%. It's all, I would love to say that it's, I hand that service out, but that's done by me. I do have 4 or 5 lead coaches that assist me on the grounds when I can't be in 4 to 5 places at once.
Yeah.
But the beginning part of the process is done by me 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking before, but you grew up in this area.
I did.
Right, in Palm Harbor. So you've been here for quite some time, seen some change and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I moved here in 83. So I've lived here, or 83, 84. So I've lived here about 40 years. So grew up in middle school, in a school that's still here.
Where'd you go to middle school?
Palm Harbor Middle.
Okay.
It was, God, I can't believe it.
Was it Palm Harbor Middle then?
It's the same school, same place, same everything.
That one hasn't changed.
That one has not. I mean, I haven't been on campus in the last few years, but it's still the same school that I remember. And then went to Tarpon Springs High School.
Okay.
In the late 80s. And then
so Palm Harbor University wasn't there then?
No, what had happened was Eastlake High School was created. So Palm Harbor U, that was a field. But Eastlake High School was created, and I was part of the first graduating class and first students at Eastlake High School back in 88 and 89. So when we went, so like my first 2 years in 86 and 87, I went to Tarpon, and then they created Eastlake, and then they had the split within the community to kids from Countryside, kids from Tarpon Springs, and they split those kids up and created that new zone for Eastlake High School.
Yeah.
And then where I lived in that area, we got zoned for Eastlake. So I went there in 88 and then in 89 and graduated there in 89. So it was
crazy.
That was different. Yeah, there was no Palm Harbor U yet. Eastlake was the Palm Harbor school back then.
So what was 89? So most of like the Eastlake area was probably developed then or being developed, or
Boot Ranch was still Boot Ranch. There was that was owned by whoever owned that property. It was a bunch of cows and everything in that community. That was all cow fields. So everybody that looks out there and sees Target and all those communities out there, that was not there. None of that was there.
You had the main road like that.
It was actually a 1-lane. McMullen Booth was a 1-lane road each way. So I feel like now I'm really making myself sound old. And it was a 1-lane road each way.
Yeah.
There was not all that building. It was
wild.
It is. Yeah. I've watched. God, I'm making myself seem old.
I wish I was old. Part of me like wishes I was like old enough to like see what this area was like undeveloped. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. So we used to, that just was one road, and there was maybe a couple of developments, but nothing established.
Yeah.
Like it is now. The population was nowhere near what it is now, obviously too. Right. But no, it was very, very different. And when we went to school there in 88 and 89, when we played soccer, we didn't even have a soccer field. We didn't. Yeah. We usually had to play all our home games at Tarpon Springs High and Countryside High. So it was like none of the football. I played football for a little bit, but it's just a kicker. But it was, we didn't have our own field. It was just, it was so new.
Yeah.
But we didn't know any difference.
What was your graduating class? Do you remember? Like
89. How many people?
How many people? Yeah.
304.
Oh, wow. So that's still.
It was healthy, because I think what they want to do is but in 88, when they opened the school, they didn't introduce seniors to the class. They just opened it up to the first 3 grades. They opened it up to freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So as juniors there, we were the oldest kids in the school the first year, and then they added up. But there was a little bit over, I believe it was like 304, 305.
So I graduated in 04, and I think there was, I remember like 500, like 400 to 500, or maybe it was over 500. So not much more, but
it's different now than like when my daughter just graduated from PHU, and we're doing this at stadiums and this kind of stuff. And it's thousands of kids now. So it's different, but we didn't, like I said, it's like when you do, you don't know any better.
Right.
So, I don't think any of the kids nowadays would know any better if they knew that they had 300 kids.
Right.
So,
yeah. It's just the norm.
Yeah.
So you grew up playing soccer then?
I did. Yep. Again, played through high school at both schools. then left to go to college, went to Auburn University for a couple of years.
Oh, cool.
Played Division II up there while they had a Division II team. And then came back home. My scholarship was over. And then through connections and just being in the right place at the right time, got viewed by a couple of professional scouts and players and coaches, and got to play for the Tampa team for the Rowdies for a couple of years in the early 80s, in the early 90s, I'm sorry, before that team went away for a while. I mean, they finally came back. But then I went into playing a little bit of semi-professional soccer for a little while, and then grew up and started having a family and got into coaching, and still I loved that ever since. So yeah, just gave me a way to stay on the field.
Yeah. What is it you love about soccer, or just sports in general?
Soccer to me, I just feel like has more challenges than, and again, that statement will always ruffle feathers with, other naturals with other sports. So not trying to knock other sports. I love sports in general. I just feel like soccer has more challenges on an individual basis and on a team basis. And as for, conditioning and that kind of stuff, it's not a contest on who runs more and who runs less. Soccer is a nonstop game for 45 minutes. I feel like other sports have starts and stops and that kind of stuff. Where soccer, you have to be on for a longer period of time. You have to be more connected with your teammates. And I guess when I was younger, I just loved to run. So it was it just came to me naturally. And my father was my, first person to introduce the game to me. But then it took off, and I've always loved it. I've been around it my whole life. I wouldn't know anything else.
Yeah. Did you play any? You mentioned you kicked for your football team.
Yeah,
did you do anything else?
Did I do it? I ran track.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was just something to keep me in shape when I wasn't on the soccer field. So my legs have kept me on sports for a while, so I just felt like it was natural. But it was nothing that I did at an accelerated or an amazing level. I just was little short white basket, and that was really it.
So what do you do to stay in shape now? Are you running now or
working?
Yeah.
This is my exercise. This is what keeps me young. And I'm on a soccer field 3 to 4 hours a day every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes more, but so it's, my work is my exercise. So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. I love that.
Yep.
So one question I want to kind of wrap up here with, but growing up in this area, right? Like you've seen a lot. What is it, in your opinion, that makes Palm Harbor so great?
I cannot speak in comparison to other communities, but what I do know is the people in this community know this community. The people that I've grown up with, the people that I know people that know me in this community is because I've lived here. And I can say the same thing about dozens and if not hundreds of people that I've known that have grown up. And they all say the same thing. It's like, this is a great place to raise a family, period. The school systems are phenomenal. I've been blessed enough for myself to grow up in this area, raise all 3 of my kids in this community, educationally, safety wise. I'm not going to pretend like, nothing goes on in this town, but I feel like it's about as safe as you're going to get. US 19 is always going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing without reach in this community. You got half an hour to the city. You've got 5 minutes to the beach, an hour and a half to Disney. I mean, what else could you want? I mean, the storms are the storms, but and not to touch that now, but other than that, I love this area. I would tell anybody that wants to raise a family here, this is where you want to go.
Yeah. Did you ever consider moving away, like moving to a different part of Florida or moving out of here? Because I asked this because like growing up here, I grew up here too, in Oldsmar and whatnot. But like I always early, like I would say after high school, I had the mindset of I can't live here my entire life. Like I have to move away.
Yeah, it did. I don't know if I really know if I want to say I want to live here until I'm X amount of years
Yeah.
or anything
Right.
like
Right.
that. I've lived in surrounding towns in the area, Clearwater, I lived in
Yeah.
for a little while, Lutz, different places. But in general speak, I don't know if I really want to move away. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't let that stuff, that white stuff that falls from the ground,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that stuff. I'd
Yeah.
rather just shovel sunshine than snow all day
Right.
long. But other than that, there's not a place in my mind that's saying, hey, I want to go move to this state or move out of this area. I've been comfortable here. Maybe if when my kids grow up and they get displaced or something, who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
But I would love to say that the Tampa Bay area would be my home until I'm done, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could give you a more straight answer than
Yeah.
that. It's something I don't really think too
You're just
long
like
into.
enjoy. It's like you're just living in the moment, right?
That's,
Enjoying it
I would
now.
love to
And
say yes. Right
yeah.
now, this area is going to be my home
Yeah.
for the extended future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. There's and I think that's what I realized too is like once you like I had this mindset of like, okay, I gotta move away or whatever. And then I ended up staying here because everything was working out, the way I wanted it to. And then you realize like, oh wow, like the things you just mentioned, like the beaches, like how close we are to all these different towns and cities. And you're like, this is really a great place to live.
It is. It really is. I wouldn't know where else, what other place, and I'm sure there's other communities. I'd be naive to say that there's not other communities
For
in the
sure.
world that don't offer the same thing that this area does. But
Yeah.
if you found it already, why leave it?
Right.
Why, if you're going to go look for something that you already have, then you've already found it. So, but no, I love the area. I feel like it would be a whole lot of guesswork trying to find out about the school systems and the other negatives and the positives that you're looking for in communities. And so, but no,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Where can so if parents or families want to get involved in your program, is it
Sure.
just like through the school that they have to go through, or
No,
can they
it's
go?
all. We have our own national. We have a national and a localized website. The national website is the psasports.com. But then again, just because I wanted to keep everything localized, it's also psapalmharbor.com.
Okay.
That was the one thing that when I opened up this company, like everybody always thinks of this as Tampa Bay or St. Pete, I put Palm Harbor and left Palm Harbor on the map. So when you open up our national website, you'll see Palm Harbor, Florida on the national website. So you can go to psapalmharbor.com and then look at the different programs and options that we have, the preschool options, our after school options, our recreational league options. And then I've made it as parent proof as I possibly can to register. Nice and simple, 2 to 3 minutes. And then you just pick and choose the programs that you want.
Yeah. Perfect. And we'll link all those in the show notes
Excellent.
and everything so people can easily click on them. But it's funny you mentioned that like putting Palm Harbor on the map. I feel like I've noticed that a lot more where businesses are starting to be like,
Good.
This is accepted. Like people know what Palm Harbor is now.
Good.
I think that just highlights like the things you mentioned, like people are starting to catch on, like how awesome Palm Harbor is, like what the potential is here. But I have noticed that a lot where people are like, instead of be like, oh, I live in the Tampa Bay area.
Right.
It's like, and I've tried to do that too when I'm talking to other agents across the country and stuff. I'm like, I live in Palm Harbor. Like that's where I'm at. And they're like, oh, where's that at? And then you
can
explain
tell
it to them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely,
So,
that's what we've done.
yeah. Cool. Well, Brian, thanks for being here.
Anytime, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right.